All right, welcome back, Capybaras, to another episode of The Lone Roller. In the last episode, which was just a very exciting episode, really got into the voices of those two characters, Emelina and Vicente. But in that last episode, to recap, Talti and, I was going to say Sven, Talti and Priya they ran into Emelina after they almost got ambushed, and they thwarted the ambush beautifully, by the way. And what ended up happening was they ran into Emelina with the secretary, and they took them hostage and demanded that they be led to Vicente. However, something random happened because the chaos factor was up, and it incurred another random event. And that random event, unfortunately, was a NPC positive for Emelina, which activated the failure of their guns, as the guns were built on technology of reading fingerprints registered to people in the company, which unfortunately for Priya and Sven, aka Talti, they were not registered employees. Unfortunately, Priya did not plan for that part of that contingency, and then they were trapped and the tables were turned on them. Emelina led them into meeting Vicente, where you found out a little bit more what Vicente wants to do, how thinning out the population works for him and his benefit. And then what was happening was it was found out that Talti had removed the information voluntarily, and everything that had to do with that information about the device or whatever it is, the relic, the artifact, whatever has yet to be determined, because Talti doesn't know it. He purposely had it removed. Ergo, Vicente now saw it fit that the next logical step to get that information was to extract it by force. And what happened was guards came in, took Priya to a cell, and took Talti to a laboratory or a medical facility that's in this building, and they're going to now slap him down into a machine and extract that data. Okay, so that is where we're going to pick off. Talti has now been apprehended, and he's been taken into this medical clinic inside the building, where they're going to strap him into a machine and extract and see if they can deeply find the data. So the first things first, the chaos factor did go up. Where did it go up to? Well, it went from 6, 7 to last episode 8. Now it's on 9. I was going to say episode 9, but the chaos factor went to 9. Now that the chaos factor has gone up to 9, we are now at the maximum that we could be in chaos factor. It has hit the fan, so to speak. It has hit the fan. Okay? And that means more of a chance of a yes answer. Ooh, what is that going to be for this episode? Let's find out. First things first, rolling on the chaos factor. Is our scene interrupted? Is it altered, or does it proceed as expected? 5. The scene is altered. How do we adjust this scene? Now, we can tweak it. Usually what you could do is you could tweak the scene and say, all right, they moved from the lab was closed in this place and they had to go over to another room, or we can roll on the scene adjustments table. So just for gigs, make 2 adjustments, reduce or remove an activity, and remove a character. Okay. So we can honestly say that in this scene, who's there with him? Okay, we obviously have the guards that are there, the generic guards, and as well as the technician or the doctor, if you will, that knows the machine well enough to uh, attach it and slap it on to connect it to Talti's neural activity and extract the data that way. And so I'm going to ask a couple of questions here at this point, not to incur any more randomness to the scene. I just want to ask on we're going to call it, we're going to just go ahead for now. We're just going to put everything back to normal in this case and ask, is Vicente and Emelina present in this scene? We're going to give it just a slap dab natural chaos factor 50/50 just for this purposes. 84, they're not there. Okay. So they are not present. Neither one of them is present. So we have to reduce an activity and remove a character. Okay. Simple enough. Okay. So to me, remove or reduce an activity would mean what is being. So I would say something happens to the machine. It's not working correctly. The technician, he's working on it, he's pressing buttons, but somehow the machine is just not going the way it's supposed to be working or how it's supposed to usually be functioning. One guard is like, "Hey, what's going on? Vicente wanted this done already." And the technician's like, "Oh, I'm trying. I'm really working here on it here. Just give me a second. Obviously, there's just something going on here." And he says, "Look, I just need one of you guards to go out into the generator room. I need you to double check something and make sure that something is working correctly there. It's very simple." And he writes up some instructions and he goes, "This is how you want to go ahead and reset the system so that it's working efficiently, okay? So go ahead, you guard. Go ahead and go in that. It's just down the hall. You can't miss it. It's labeled as the server room. It's everything we need to get this going." He just kind of like over explains things. I don't know why, but that's just the character I just came up with on the fly. And that is how our scene is altered. We now have a moment where now it's just one guard, it's just the technician. Emelina and Vicente are not present. They're probably engaging in some sort of hedonistic celebratory, as we now see they're very much a passion of the flesh, if you will. And they're just engaging in whatever they're doing. Talti is by himself. He has been strapped in and he's been unable to move. The technician is hooking up the connections onto his brains, and he even what does he do? Does he he like holds Talti and he like really looks at him and really scrutinizes with one raised eyebrow. It's like, it's looking at, I'm trying to understand how I can make these connections so I can access everything. And Talti's like, "I don't understand." And the pain in his head trying to remember is just still there. And he's like, he is trying to figure a way out. So he's trying to like, "I will give nothing up." God, the technician says, "Doesn't matter. We're gonna get it one way or another." And what does he do? He thinks to himself like, can he access this thing in any way? Is it something that's so? As he looks in, he's reading everything on his monitor and seeing that as the charts are going and the levels are reading, he's trying to find ways to, but it's suppressed. The machine is not working at its optimum, at its most optimum. And he's like, there has to be a way to get in there even deeper. And he thinks about it. Could I? Will I? Oh, it's a little extreme. He thinks. He's just muttering to, it's a little extreme, but I could just. I couldn't I? Talti is wondering to himself, what is this person going to do to me now? What is he gonna do to Talti? Does he go to extreme surgical methods to get deeper into the brain? We're gonna call that 50/50. Obviously, with a chaos factor of 9, 50-50 gives you such a high chance of a yes. I rolled a 51, ergo he does. He pulls out a tool and almost he just immediately, first of all, just puts an injection into the side of Talti's face. He goes, they always say the window to the soul and the window of memories, it's through the left eye. And he just, boom, plunks right into his eye. It stings, but then there's like a quick numbness that just follows it. But that lingering phantom pain of the sting of being poked in the eye with the syringe is just cringes and it pains and it grimaces Talti. And then the surgical technician, pulls out what looks like a scoop and he thrusts it right into Talti's eye. And he goes in, and Talti's being just almost his head being thrashed and brain rattling around in his head as this technician just digs deeper and deeper underneath his eyeball. He can feel it, but it doesn't hurt, but he can feel it. Not painful, but he can feel the scoop going right underneath his eye, and he just pops out his eye. Oh, no! And then with the right tool, even the one guard kind of grimaces back like, oh, why did I see that? I just want to ask this question really quick. Does the one guard in the room kind of get sick over it? Let's give it a 50-50. 48 is a yes. And he bolts out of the room, feeling sick to his stomach, just witnessing someone's eye just get scooped out, and he runs out of the room to go vomit somewhere. And now the technician, oh yes, perfect. And he attaches one of the connectors, and he starts sort of stringing it in there with another tool so that it gets in there. He even has a camera light shining into the darkness, shining inside Talti's head so that he can go in and put it right underneath the proper cortex and get that connection in there. And then he starts getting a better reading at that point because he doesn't want to wait for the one guard who's obviously not proficient with items like this. He's not going to do it as he wrote the instructions, but he doesn't have any trust in that guard. So he takes the matters into his own hands and he pops out that eyeball. Oh, gross. And Talti could somehow listen. I do want to ask this. Did that technician, when he popped it out, did he sever the optic nerve? Oh, I'm going to call that very likely. 57. Oh, yeah. To make things easier on him, he definitely severed the optic nerve. And it's just all precision technique. And he snaps it, pops off the eye, snaps off. Oh, gross. And he starts attaching another connector and a couple more connectors as much as he can into Talti's brain back there. He can feel it, and it's not painful, but it's super uncomfortable. So what happens next? Okay. I'm gonna call this impossible. Let's just call it impossible. Okay. So he starts typing in and he starts clicking away, doing things, trying to find everything he can to bring about. But we asked the question of this. I'm going to call this impossible. But is he able to start seeing roughly the footage? 57. No, he is not able to pull. And it frustrates him. Ugh. Oh my goodness. I need to get this information. He needs to get this information. I need to get this information. Vicente is counting on me. And he's just really hacking and hacking and hacking away. All the while, Talti, he tries to fight the machine. He fights the machine. He's trying to think other thoughts. He's not trying to. He realizes that if he thinks about too hard, he's just helping them. And at this point, it can put the whole star system in danger. And that is not what he wants. He needs to. I need to do this for the people, for everybody. And he thinks, and he focuses his mind. He focuses his mind. He focuses his mind, and he tries to put his thoughts somewhere else. Is it enough to evade the machine? We're going to call it 50-50. 63. Yes, it's enough to evade the machine for a while, giving problems and more. Nothing is just working. And I want to ask another question. Is the guard in the server room trying to work everything? Is he able to work everything out well enough? I'm going to call that unlikely. He doesn't seem like, we're going to say he's not a smart guy. 43. So he's going to be there for a while. The other guard that is sick, is his sickness keeping him out of, like, how bad did it hit him? Is he going to be sick for a while? We're going to call that 50-50 as well. And that is a 19. So both guards are going to be out of the room for a while. It is just Talti and this technician just together, and they're hacking away, and they're having this battle of neurons and delta waves where he's trying to mind hack him, but at the same time Talti is doing everything in his willpower to fight back. He's thinking to himself, fight back. I have to do this for the sake of the star system. I have to do this. And he focuses, and his eye, he feels that it's no longer there. And he tries not to get distracted by it. By sheer his own willpower, he just tries to focus his mind, and he tries to go dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And what ends up happening is what? Does Talti make it more difficult? We're going to call that 50-50 again. Does he make it more difficult with the way he's been going? Does he make it more difficult for this technician to get at those memories? 99. No. He starts to get more. The technician is able to get something. It's a little grainy at first. He's like, he starts going in. He pulls up a scripting program, and he starts typing in what he needs to see if he can get around and debug everything to make things work much more efficiently. He's like, damn it, that guard, he clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And so he goes, I am surrounded by idiots. I wish that they would have given me a proper assistant. And he just walks out of the room, leaving Talti behind. Now it's safe. Talti is just in there. The visions of everything is still fuzzy on the monitor, and the technician can only do so much. He's like, oh, and he goes, frustrated. He leaves the room so he can go into the server room and see if he can get the whole system properly rebooted and running at an optimum efficiency to get what he needs to get, leaving Talti by himself. Talti takes a moment to just take a deep breath. You can feel like he has no eye anymore. It's just, there's no left eye. It's gone at this point. And he's strapped in. And then he tries to focus. What can I do? And he kind of starts moving his wrist around and everything. So let's ask a question here. Does something happen in the server room because of the guard's ineptitude before the technician can even get there? Does a guard do something that can probably trigger a release? He's kind of dumb. he's a guard. He only's following instructions and he's doing what he can. Let's call it unlikely that he is able to do something. 84. Oh my goodness. That is just within that range. Yes. There is an audible click sound as the straps that were locking him in place free him, and he's able to go down and actually undo the ones that are on his legs. And he looks around and he's holding his left, where his left eye used to be. He doesn't think of anything else. The left eye is just sitting there. He's just trying to think, I need to get out. I need to get out. He looks around with his one eye. Talti, think. What can I do to get out of this room? Is there something in this room that he can use to his tactical advantage? We're going to call that 50-50. Asking the questions today, rolling the dice, 40. He finds something. Okay, what does he find in this room? Does Talti find a backup firearm that can be used in an emergency situations, such as a breach of security? 18. We're calling it 50-50. That's a yes. Is it likely that it's also fingerprint? We're going to also call that 50-50. Or actually, we're going to call that very likely. Very likely is the item itself. 92. Yeah, it is. But Talti is using his advantage. He tries to think. He undoes the gun. And he opens up the place where the chip is. He goes, there's no time to think. I have to do this. He takes the computer that was used to monitor his brain. By the way, he's already undid the connectors that were on his eye, that were within his eye and in his brain. He pulls them out. Oh, it just feels weird. And he finds that gun and he opens it. He's able to open it up and plug it into the computer, sort of a drive or a cable or a port, if you will, that is able to plug it in, and he starts to bring up the software, starts to see if he can hack into it by something to get rid of that fingerprint. So let's go ahead and call that an 8. 7. So I rolled a 7. Does Talti have something that can give him an advantage of that? No, he doesn't have any computer skills, unfortunately. So the weapon seems to be just a little bit useless. So he tries to look around a little bit more. Things are just getting... The numbing agent is still there. Is it still in effect? Will it last for a couple hours? I'm going to call that 50-50 as well. Rolling the dice today. Extreme yes. Exceptional yes. Yes, and it will be for hours. He will not feel any pain. So he's good for the next, let's just say 3 to 5 hours. He won't feel any pain, but he keeps looking around. Obviously, there's something he can use. The guy has all types of surgical tools, saws, scalpels, whatnot, and syringes. He looks and he reads one of them, and it says, ooh, what does it say? Should we give it an action mean? No, we're just going to say that it is a neural toxin. I love it. So he doesn't want to take the risk of leaving just yet. He waits in hiding for the guard and for the technician to come back into the room. As he's doing that, he's just waiting with the syringe in his hand, thumb right on that plunger, ready to go. And the door opens up, and the first person to walk in is that technician, followed by the guard. Immediately, they see that the chair is empty, and he goes, where did he go? All right, let's do this. Talti rolled a 9. Boom. I was calling that difficulty 8, but he was able to ambush them. He digs the plunger right into the one guard that came back with the technician, immediately putting the neurotoxin. The guy just gets dizzy and he falls to the ground. At that moment, the technician freaks out, and Talti's able to also get the jump on him and push him over against the chair that he was strapped in. The question is, did that guard or did that technician trip and fall over? Does he have a reflex save? Let's give it to him. 9. He did not have enough reflex to save. So he falls over and he hits his head. Boom! Bangs his head against the thing, and it pretty much knocks him out, or even just knocks him out for a little while, not able to function correctly, right? And Talti finds and pulls. He cannot use a gun, but he tries to find, is there a stun baton or anything? He looks and he frisks him, and he finds a knife. Oh yeah, finds a nice little knife. So he grabs that knife with him, and he walks right out. Now, the guard is sick, so he's still walking stealthily past. He tries to now find Pariah, and he goes, Talti's got that knife. Actually, let's just say this. Before Talti leaves, he grabs one more thing. He grabs a few more numbing agents in case he needs it, along with a few syringes of neurotoxin, and he is able to put them away in a pouch, which we're going to go ahead and say that he took that off of the belt of the one guard. So now he has sort of a utility belt and has something that he can stash away those syringes for now, so for later use, especially the ones that numb him. And Talti goes, now that he's ready, he has the knife in hand, he's got this belt around him, and he goes, I need to find Pariah. And that is, we're going to end this episode, and we're going to end the scene right there. I am going to say that Talti was a little bit more in control this time. Even though he lost a left eye, but he was able to fight back on the machine and make it a little bit more difficult, even though at some point he did lose. But the images still came out fuzzy. No one was in control. Not a lot of other people were in control. He was a little bit more in control in that situation. So the chaos factor now goes from 9 to 8. And Talti, knife in hand, taking a deep breath, he has to find. I need to find Pariah. Boom. That's it. He's on a mission now to find his friend. Chaos factor goes back down to 8. And that is where we're going to pick up on the next scene. Once again, Happy Bears, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Thank you to the listeners that are coming back consistently for these episodes. This has been so fun to do. Thank you guys so much. Once again, you can follow me on the social media. I am on Instagram as _alternative zen, Twitter alternative zen, all one word on that one, purely just alternative zen. Check out my website, Stillfoxes.home.blog. Once again, capybaras, this is Leon saying thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Lone Roller. Hopefully, Pariah is okay.